All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to do a follow-up. Gervonta Tank Davis calling Devin Haney's bluff, saying, "Look, man, if you're gonna drop them belts, drop the belts. I don't need the belts to make money. Let's do it." Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to talk about a fight that I hope winds up being as popular a fight and as the well-demanded a fight as the Errol Spence Jr. and Terrence Crawford fight, and that is an undisputed, a fight between Gervonta Tank Davis and Devin Haney. Now, before I get into that, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you're a longtime subscriber and supporter, thank you so much for your support. If you are new to the channel, welcome to the channel. Please accept my invitation to subscribe to the channel by hitting the subscribe button. Go ahead and hit it. Go hit the like and make sure you select the bell icon to get all notifications so you'll know when we drop videos, which is on a daily basis, both in the live stream and the video format. Can't wait to participate in the comment section with you. Now, let's get into this. There's been a lot of back and forth, kind of a little bit under the undercurrent of boxing this weekend, goings on between the camps of Devin the Dream Haney, who is the undisputed lightweight champion of the world, and Gervonta Tank Davis, who is Gervonta Tank Davis, the WBA regular belt holder and the big money fighter in the division, selling out arenas, doing well on pay-per-view, all of that type of stuff. Camps have actually been talking to one another and going back and forth about what would be necessary to make a fight. And yesterday, Devin Haney, well, at least it's purported that Devin Haney has said that getting a little bit sick of getting the press put on him by Gervonta Davis, saying, "I will drop my belts and fight you," right? And then Devin Haney, Gervonta Davis's camp coming out and saying, "Look, man, good. Go ahead and drop the belts. We don't need belts to make money, and we'll fight you." So now, here you go. The ball is in Devin Haney's court to actually do that. Will Devin Haney be willing to drop a title, all 4 titles, in order to make a fight with Gervonta Davis? My instinct on that is, I don't know, man. Devin Haney may do it, man. I think Devin Haney himself is a man of his word. If he actually says that he's going to do that, he may very well pursue doing that. And if he did pursue doing that, it might actually pay off very, very well for him, because there's going to be a lot more interest in the fight with Devin Haney and Gervonta Davis than there would be with any of the fights that he would have with Top Rank to fulfill the contract that he has, right? First of all, you have the George Kambosos fight. I don't even think ESPN wants that fight, right? Bob Arum doesn't sound like he wants that fight. Only person that really wants that fight is George Kambosos. However, George Kambosos is contractually, Devin Haney, should I say, is contractually obligated to give him the rematch, right? However, if Devin drops the belts, that may free him up from that obligation. Not sure whether or not it does, but it is but it very well may free him up from that obligation. There is, however, another obligation that he would have to Bob Arum, because I do believe that Bob Arum took that into consideration when he signed the contract with Devin Haney and agreed to, put up some of the money for the original fight, which was that if you beat George Kambosos and you decide not to take the rematch and go to 140, then you're going to fight one of our guys up there at 140, right? Now, personally, I think that is going to be kind of a little bit of a difficult route in order to get that done. However, as far as the conversations that go on in YouTube and going on around amongst boxing fans, once you say something like what you're willing to do, then, hey man, are you gonna turn around and do it? I'd be very, very interested to see if he would do it. Now, if Devin Haney said this in just being kind of reactionary and all of that, I could understand it, because really Gervonta Davis's camp is talking a lot about trying to make that fight. And they are talking about trying to make that fight when they know that it is true that they do know that George Kambosos has a rematch available for him. However, really does not make a difference because they're saying that they want the fight. And Calvin Ford, in the interview that he gave, or not the interview, in the discussion that took place on the Rise podcast, shout out to the Rise podcast, was very clear. We want to make the fight. All you got to do is get out of your rematch with George Kambosos. If you can get out of that, then we'll make the fight. And he gave him a route that he thought they could take in order to do it, which was to pay step-aside money to George Kambosos to get the fight done. And more than likely, the step-aside money that would need to be paid is the amount of money that George Kambosos is making in that fight. Now, if the rumors are true about how much money he made in the first fight, it was around $10 million. So is Devin Haney going to be able to pay $10 million to George Kambosos to step aside? Hence, more than likely, that's why he's talking about dropping the belts, right? However, when you get that, if you get that done, then the obstacle is to make the fight with Gervonta Davis, right? Which means you're probably going to have to leave ESPN in Top Rank and come over to Showtime for a pay-per-view fight with Showtime. Now, if you have no belts, right? If you have no belts, and you are fighting on Showtime against Gervonta Davis, they may actually be in a situation where they will make less money than they did in their last fight against George Kambosos, right? Now, my understanding is I haven't actually seen what the official purses were, but over somewhere in the $2 million range for Devin Haney. Is Devin Haney going to take $2 million or something like that to fight Gervonta Davis for no belts? I would be interested to see that. If he does that, though, I'm going to tell you, I ain't never going to hear nothing bad out of my mouth about Devin Haney. If he goes all the way through that to get that fight done, then without a doubt, he is the dude that is trying to make all the fights that are out there. And if he does drop that belt, Gervonta Davis, in my opinion, is duty bound to make sure that he fights him, right? Now, Gervonta Davis does not have a mandatory coming up. He just had a mandatory against Rolly Romero. However, one way more than likely that they're not going to try to make that fight is by trying to push for a mandatory fight, to petition to get the fight with Devin Haney through the WBA, because that's the route that Devin Haney's manager, Bill Haney, had suggested. Request a mandatory. If you request a mandatory, then and the WBA grants it, then we can get out of that rematch clause. The only problem with that is that Gervonta Davis is not going to take mandatory money in a purse bid against Devin Haney, because that would mean that Devin Haney would be getting the lion's share of the money and Gervonta Davis would not. So that right there is just a non-starter. But anyway, hopefully if Devin Haney keeps his word, hey man, we could have a great fight. And so one way or the other, definitely hope it happens. Otherwise, Devin's going to have to go through those two fights and then still stay at that weight division. And at the time that if you're a year and a half, it may be kind of rough for him to stay in that weight division. And you don't want to be in a situation getting in with Tank where he's drained. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.